Here to welcome you today is Vern Hagen, our founder and guiding light of banking on central New Mexico, formerly the Economic Reform Advocacy Group, started in 2010. Vern worked for the city under mayors Harry Kinney, David Rusk, and Ken Schultz. He was director of city planning and later director of municipal development. He's also worked in commercial appraisal and private development. Vern has considerable graduate work in economics and has taught economics at UNM and other schools, and we expect to be referring a lot of technical questions to him.
Thank you, Sally. I'd like to first of all thank each of you for taking the time on a Saturday morning to come and participate in this symposium. We are in great hopes and expectations that we will all learn more about the public banking in its movement right now in the United States. This symposium is organized by Banking on Central New Mexico and is hosted by the First Unitarian Church. Several years ago, a group led by Mr. Bob Riley, who is here, called the Economic Reform Advisory Group, or ERAG for short, was set up by the church. ERAG members shared books about social needs, and among them was a book by Ellen Brown called The Web of Debt. You know, we've also, in our short lifetime as a group, received valuable assistance from Santa Fe. They have a group called Banking on New Mexico. This group stems from an organization, We Are People Here, formed by Mr. Craig Barnes in Santa Fe. Sadly, Craig Barnes died this past Wednesday. He leaves us with compassionate insights and eloquent advocacy for social change. One of his concerns is the staggering income inequality that challenges our democracy. He saw a public bank as an important tool to help address this inequality. Santa Fe's Banking on New Mexico team has provided both financial and promotional support for the symposium. Today we will hear from two Santa Fe leaders, Elaine Sullivan and Nicole Eichen. We thank our friends in Santa Fe for all the help they have given us here in Albuquerque. We also thank the First Unitarian Church for hosting this symposium and are grateful to our speakers who are giving their time to share their experience and ideas with us today. Some of us have joined the National Public Banking Institute. It was founded by Ellen Brown. The Institute promotes information sharing among dozens of groups now advocating public banks in the United States. Finance has been referred to as our national blind spot. Financial complexity does not lend itself well to mass media expose because it is so complicated. We thus tend to have little understanding of how deeply finance-related problems impact both our country and much of the world. At the heart of our economic problems is that about 97% of what we call our money is created when commercial banks lend it into existence. We have a debt-based money system. When we grow our economy, we need more money, which means more debt. As a result, our federal government's debt is now so large that about $4 out of every $10 we pay in individual income taxes goes to pay just the interest on that debt. Although this national financial picture obviously needs to be addressed, our Banking on Central New Mexico group is focused on financial change at the local level, which we hope can be more readily achieved than starting at the top down. Two main concerns motivate this local focus. First is concern about the security of our local public deposits, which reside in large national banks. Many think these banks could fail again under the current debt crisis. Several regulatory changes also create uncertainty as to how such a failure would be handled now. One reform gives derivative holders first access to bank assets in the event of a bank failure. 90% of all the derivatives are issued by our 6 largest banks. Most of our city and county funds are in these banks. A second change under the Dodd-Frank legislation is that a bail-in approach would now be required should a bank fail. That was what was done in Greece. On our handout table, there should be some little half-size sheets of paper that talks about what happened in Greece. It's something that's worth taking a look at. A city or county, for example, under the bail-in approach, could end up losing some of its deposits. What the bail-in does, it requires the bank to supplement its insufficient capital by using some of the deposits in that bank as capital to meet its bills. And that would be tough. What they give the depositor to compensate for that is stock in a failing bank. We'd have a hard time paying our policemen or our fire people with stock in a failing bank. A third approach, tied to a recent federal budget, uses a taxpayer bailout, as was done in 2008 in the Great Recession. In view of this confusing array, putting our public revenues into a local public bank might be better protect them from future large bank failure. We will see a second important concern in the presentations that follow. A public bank in central New Mexico could keep more of our public funds at work locally. This would result both in better meeting of our community needs and in strengthening of our local banks and credit unions. It is our hope that this symposium will help lessen the financial blind spot that many of us have regarding finance, and that it will increase our concern and efforts toward local financial reform. With that said, I welcome each of you to the symposium.